joining in to tell us what we should do. Mcleod Russell stock has been locked in an upper circuit of 20% for 2 consecutive days. Prakash, your thoughts on this transaction which is brewing?
So, Rima, good afternoon. So, I'm not too sure whether you could do anything today, but let me just allow me to put this in perspective from a historical or anecdotal standpoint. It's been a couple of occasions in the past that people have tried acquiring a controlling stake in this company. But somehow, whether it was the Burmans, whether it was the Sanjeev Goenka group, but nothing fructified at that point in time because the promoter shareholding is itself very fractured. Now, given the fact that most of this leverage that has been built into the books of the company is primarily because of a lot of expansion into a non-related real estate business, is what got them, into this pit of sorts. Now, this whole, interest burden that's been accumulating over the last many years is what actually has caused a lot of issues. Whereas the company's top line growth or revenue growth, if you see, and especially, if you look at the last year's FY22, FY23 numbers, they're fairly decent. It's grown. It's still losing money given a lot of the debt issues and the interest burden that it has. But some of the subsidiaries are invaluable in terms of what they could contribute. So I think as a company, it's asset rich but cash starved. So that's where the problem is. If this goes through, I'm not too sure whether Carbon Resources is a great play in terms of managing the tea business, because they are into, as Vivek explained, they're into the electrode powder business, which is slightly divergent from the tea business. But whoever takes majority control and pays off the debt could very easily revive this company. I mean, otherwise it would take organically many years to happen. So I think if this goes through for existing shareholders, it's definitely going to be a very big positive. But then the stock has flattered to deceive in the past. It's had these wild moves and lost ground as well when things didn't fructify. Hopefully this time something will crystallize.
Okay, all right, Prakash. In fact, the debt to equity as of FY22 stood at around 1.27 times versus 1.26 times in FY21. So it's not really moved too much. But Prakash, would you recommend to your clients to probably buy into this stock? It's already at a 52-week high. Do you think that it could probably move up? This is a sustainable trigger?
So, Ekta, interestingly, if you do a little bit of a rough back of the envelope calculation in terms of the assets that it has, and comparably with some of the tea businesses globally or even within India, it definitely has a lot of value. You could come anywhere between 70 to 80, 85 bucks on the price of the stock, the fair value of the stock, provided this debt burden, as you mentioned rightly, eases off and that's not a drag on the balance sheet. But, I think as a recommendation, the interesting part would be to see how close Carbon Resources is to converting this from a LOI to a concrete, proposal and which the lenders like to take up. But, the numbers look pretty interesting on the proposal itself. I mean, the haircut that the potential acquirer is looking at, making the lender stake is not significant as compared to some of the other deals that we've seen. So it could possibly go through with that attractiveness. And if it does, it definitely makes for some sort of value discovery or some sort of a up move. But, it's a small company, 350 odd crores market cap. They're always very vulnerable. So depending on the risk appetite of the investor, you would have to evaluate. But I do see some value in terms of from where it is to where it could go, given the asset-rich balance sheet that it has. So yeah, interesting stage it is at. But I think it would depend on the individual risk reward to take into such a small company with a potential upside that's kind of very clearly building up as per this story that you've broken.